Hello, what's up, mate? So, this is a more formal kind of outfit, I suppose. Looks better, huh? So, in this friendly chat, we're going to talk about the Europe and the fact that it supports innovation until you break some existing rules and the things that they're actually in the system. Brussels in the actual Europe is the place that has this kind of ideas and regulation, and they decide on these topics. I think I generally look much more handsome wearing the sunglasses with this lighting. That's why I keep them on. Let me know what you guys think about the sunglasses because I personally think I look just more presentable with them. So, Europe's innovation kind of story and dilemma. How a continent of geniuses got stuck in its own rules, and we can imagine a continent that invented the printing press, the telescope, the steam engine, everything that we know these days. The airplane, Air France, the Airbus, still is actually very famous, or even quantum physics. Now imagine that the same continent of Europe is struggling to make a social media app, something that can compete against TikTok or Instagram, because that market is heavily competed by the American applications that are developed in Silicon Valley. That's fast forward today, and that's the Europe we have right now, a place full of talent, creativity, and intelligence. Yet somehow, unfortunately, it feels stuck. Trust me, I've been there. But why? Perhaps because Europe didn't stop innovating, it just started fearing its own freedom. Europe has always loved order, system, rules, stability. It's why actually it has happened. And its cities are clean, the food is safe, and the people are protected. There are a lot of rules and regulations to actually keep the people safe and the place that they are. But there is a catch for this. When everything must follow the rules, sometimes nothing truly new can happen because you cannot break the existing system to become innovative. So, if you're a young startup founder in Europe, you face 27 different legal systems in 27 European countries, as we covered in the last episode. If you haven't watched the last episode, I link it down to the description. You can watch part one so that you feel more engaging and, let's say, familiar with the topic. So, there are 27 different countries in Europe, 24 different languages, considering the fact that you should know English and also know the regional language to integrate in a better way. It's not obligatory to know the language, but to actually have a better kind of understanding and integration to the system, it's highly actually recommended to do such. So, it does enough tax codes before even starting your own business. You have to understand all these kind of things, the paperwork, which is a nightmare. The EU rules and laws just keep changing all the time between different countries. And to do export or this kind of businesses, it's very difficult because the tax is very high, and also every country requires a different kind of perspective. While in US, for example, in California, two college kids can write code in a garage and wake up millionaire. It's not that easy, but they can have access to investors and all. That's the difference. It isn't about talent. It's about freedom to move fast and permission to fail. Let's just talk about the story of the Uber, for instance. When actually Uber arrived in Paris in 2011, it felt like the future had arrived, and cheaper rides, more convenience. People loved it truly because it was more convenient and easier. But soon Europe actually pushed back. In France, people, the drivers, the taxi drivers protested because this is a new system that was not as before. And it led to violence. And in Germany, courts banned Uber in several cities and they set the cars on fire. And eventually, the European Court of Justice said each country could block Uber if they wanted because it was a new system that was not like the things happening before. But the message was clear: innovation is welcome as long as it doesn't break the system. But innovation always breaks down something. That's how it changes the world. Behind all those rules and laws, there's something deeper: the culture, the European culture. It is slowly fading away, but still, in the US, failure is almost a medal of honor. In Europe, it's something to hide. In America, people ask, what if it works? In Europe, they ask, what if it doesn't? That's the perspective, that's the shift in expectation. Investors here play it safe. They prefer stable, low risk projects, not bold, unpredictable ideas that would grow exponentially. And the fear kills creativity before it even starts. Now, don't get me wrong, Europe's caution comes from a good place. It wants to actually protect because they have had two world wars and all, which is understandable. But to protect the people, you can't tell like these kind of things. You can't sell unsafe food. You can't misuse personal data. You can't exploit workers, which is a really beautiful human right and all. But that is beautiful actually. It's moral. But for small innovators, it can be crushing. Take the GDPR of Europe's famous privacy law. It protects the user's right, but for a small startup, it's a nightmare of paperwork and costs. Every day you have to just go through this thing. So, to live in Europe, it's a very easy thing to be a worker in a working class, but if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's a real hustle, it's a real nightmare. So, in the end, the giants like Apple and Meta survive easily, and the small local startups give up. The system meant to protect the little guy ends up protecting the big one, sacrificing the little companies and all. So the numbers tell the same story also. European startups attract over 50% less investment than American ones. You can search it simply on AI, on ChatGPT, and search it for yourself. We should be very much thankful of Elon Musk to give us this kind of opportunity of using ChatGPT. It's a really blessing these days. And that's not just brain drain that all this kind of people in the Europe are leaving it to better opportunities. That's dream drain. When the best minds leave a place, the future lives with them. And when rich Europeans are going to Dubai or to, let's say, US, the new Europeans are coming. Who's the new European? They're the Middle Eastern people who come to Europe from third world countries. They come here, they stay here. They're not going to improve the system because their minds are stuck in that. You can hate me, this is very controversial what I'm going to say, but import third world and become third world. That's what's happening in the Europe. That's the scenery. Look at Paris, look at Milan 10 years ago, look at it right now, filled with black people. And I have a lot of black friends and classmates. They're really great people, but sometimes they can actually make the system in a way that you feel like, okay, we should take care of Africa, not to bring them in Europe and do have this kind of things. That's the problem that we have. But back to the topic that we have, despite all that, I don't believe Europe is doomed because Europe still has something special, a sense of responsibility. When AI exploded and everyone rushed forward recklessly, Europe was the first to say, wait, let's make it safe, let's make it human. That's a very good thing. When the world panicked about climate change, Europe built a green kind of deal, a trillion-euro plan to reshape its entire economy. So maybe Europe doesn't innovate the fastest, but it innovates with purposes for the future very much safely and play it safe. It creates systems that last, not just products that sell. So here's the real question. Can Europe find a balance between protection and progress, between safety and boldness? I don't think so. It's about courage, the courage to imagine something new. If you can imagine it, you can do it. If you can see it in your mind, you can make it happen. And the courage to make the risk that it might fail. And if Europe can find that courage again, it won't just create new technology, it could redefine what progress really means. And I know this was a quite serious kind of discussion and topic. It always is, but we should know the fact that Europe and the general European Union and laws are very much restricting the people from having their own companies, being entrepreneurial, just pushing more, breaking the old system, doing some innovative kind of things. And the budget that they have in study and education is really good because some of the top universities in the whole world, like ETH in Zurich in Switzerland, or some really high class universities, for example, Bologna University in Italy is one of the oldest in the entire world. It is the oldest in the whole Europe. It's one of the best universities that I've ever been to. I studied right there. But still, when it comes down to the rules and everything, you feel like, yeah, there are some bureaucracies. There are, let's say, some things that are not exactly right. If you want to do a specific thing, it would take a long period of time to get there. But if you want to, for example, raise funding for something, it would take months to actually do that, and there would be always a problem. And if you like this video, feel free to share it with your friends, and you can comment down below what you think, if you had a similar experience. And don't forget to watch the first video. It's probably up here in one of these two that you can see popping up. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. And until then, have a good time. Bye bye.